On this cam with the affordable off-road. Today we're going to be putting on our 93 to 2011 Ford Ranger sliders. These are actually going to replace your whole rocker panel. These are mainly for if your rockers are all rusted out like this is. You know, these rust out pretty commonly. So all this stuff, I'm going to cut this all out, all across the back here. I already started. This is a pretty involved install here. And you're going to be welding a little bit too, so if you don't have the knowledge of how to do that, you probably should look into talking to your local garage or someone to get these put in for you. But as you can see, I just went right along the body line here, where the seam is at the door. Let me open the door a little bit here. Right here where the bend is, all I did was I just marked it roughly with a marker. And I cut across this with a cutting wheel that'll be included with these sliders. But I cut all the way across here, and now I'm going to just bend this down, roughly cut it out just so I can get in there, see what's going on. And then I'm going to come back through with a flap wheel and clean all this up because we're going to weld along all of this edge here. This is all going to get welded the whole way across. So that's what this lip here is for. So I'm going to cut this out, and I will get back to you with the next step. Okay, so when we left off, I was rough cutting everything out. I went ahead, I got everything cut out, and I took my flap wheel and I smoothed off all these edges. We're actually going to get under the truck here in a second. I'm going to show you what I did just to get everything to fit right. But for the 93 to 97, we actually noticed that they have a little bit of a different body line, and their angle is not the same. We actually based this off of a 2000 model, so they're basically the same thing, just a little bit different. So all you have to do with the 93 to 97 body style, this angle right here, you're not going to cut this straight across like I did. You're actually going to you're going to put your actual slider up there. Once roughly cut this out, leave about an inch or so, cut this out, and then you're going to put your slider up there and kind of mark it with the angle of the slider about a 1/4 inch in, so that way you have something to weld onto the whole way across here. So we're going to go down underneath here quick. So all I did after I cut this out, I took my flap wheel, my sanding disc, grinding disc, and I just went all along across this edge and smoothed this whole edge out. This is where the top of the slider is going to sit on this edge and be welded across the top, all the way across the top here. Now this is what I was talking about with the 93 to 97 body styles. The newer body styles, this is all one piece. Right here this ended, and this is actually just the body panel outside and then the rocker panel inside. The newer bodies, this is all one piece across here, so we're going to have a little bit of an issue welding this body panel to the actual slider itself. I think we're actually just going to try and tack it, get it welded good in a couple places, and then just body fill it with a seam sealer, or you could also use Bondo or anything like that. This one is actually a little bit more rusted out, which is why I was kind of not sure how I'm going to weld this one all the way, but we'll make it work. You can also buy these panels for this body style here if you have to. You can buy these body panels pretty cheap online, and that's while you're already in here cutting all this out, you might as well go ahead and replace that panel. But I'll get these tacked in, and I'll show you guys what's going on after I get everything going here. Okay guys, so I got my slider tacked up in place. I got all my tacks across the top here. I just used these jack stands. I put the jack stands underneath each side like this side here, just to hold it up in place, kind of where I want it, and I just used shims just to get it exactly where I wanted it. So, tacked it all across the top. If you come down here, Brady, I actually tacked all these in the back here first. And some of these were pulled out, so I just used a C-clamp and I clamped it together just to make sure, everything was nice and tight back here. This is where you're going to weld this whole seam. This whole seam is going to be welded all the way across as much as you can. If a little bit of it's rotted out, the last one I did, like half of this was rotted out, it's okay. Just weld as much as you can on the back, and then use some seam sealer to go around wherever you didn't get weld, just to seal everything up. What's going on, guys? It's Cam with Affordable Off-Road. Today we're going to be finishing up our Ranger sliders here. This thing's been sitting outside for a couple weeks. We got pretty backed up at work with bumpers and everything, but we're trying to get these done. So I just want to go ahead and show you what I did here. I welded these all the way in as much as I could. Welded everything solid as much as I could. Back here we had a little bit of an issue with our body panel that we couldn't weld it. So we're actually going to probably just fill that with steam sealer or something and smooth it off. But I'm going to show you the back side. I know in my previous video I said about welding this solid and then seam sealing it. We changed the design since then. These are actually going to self-drain. We're going to have holes for them to drain on each end, just in case they are going to get water in them. So just so they do drain. So just weld everything in there as much as you can. These are solid. This isn't going anywhere. So I'll definitely help you out with those rusted out rockers.